Hello, I'm Eleanor Hayes, and welcome to ACN's Unexplained Ashtabula. We're at the Manor's Tree Farm, Haunted Forest in New Lyme Township.
It's a fun Halloween event designed to benefit the Grand Valley Mustangs Drama Club. Somewhere out there is a bunch of goblins and monsters ready to leap out and scare the dickens out of unsuspecting guests.
Many of us couldn't think of a better way to spend a crisp October evening than telling ghost stories or sharing Halloween legends that send shivers up your spine. But those sorts of things couldn't happen in our neck of the woods, or could they?
Our journey into the unexplained takes us to the northeast corner of Ashtabula County, where a rich old business tycoon who met an untimely demise is said to still haunt the hollows of Monroe Township. But first, we take you to the quaint township of Kingsville, population 2,100, a quiet town where you can still find a team of horses ready to give you a lift to the local library. A library, some say, that is filled with more than books. Stephanie Lane, paranormal researcher and web mistress of DeadOhio.com, is our guide to the unknown.
The story associated with Kingsville Library is as creepy as its appearance, at least at this time of day, towards the end of October. Legend is that the library is haunted by more than one ghost. The one story associated with this library is in regards to a spirit that one of the workers had seen in this old section of the library. The spirit is described as a tall gentleman wearing a tall black hat and dark clothing, haunting the bookshelves along the old section of the library. Now, obviously, there was no way we could confirm the existence of any ghostly presence at the library, but it does have an interesting piece of history, piece of morbid history that goes along with it. On the site where this library is built was a children's school that mysteriously burned down in 1908. The fire completely destroyed the school, and officials later determined that it was the result of arson. Now, for years, people in this town had suspected that some of the children at the school were the culprits behind the fire, but that fact was never proven, and they could not be identified. Interestingly, a few years later, out in California, a former student of that school was convicted of murder and was sentenced to die. Shortly before he was executed, he confessed to being one of the students who set the school on fire. Perhaps the guilt that weighed so heavily upon this individual was enough to cause his spirit to return. We are just outside Conneaut, Ohio, on the northern tip of Monroe Township, in an area that was once known as Tinker's Hollow. Tinker's Hollow was a small community which had a former name of Benton that was established in the early 1800s, named after one of the first pioneers of this area, Silas Tinker. In 1824, Mr. Tinker built an ironworks foundry somewhere within this hollow. Tinker's Hollow was a big industrial site in its time, also the site of 2 distilleries, at least 2 mills, and the county's first cider mill. This bridge is the site of 2 hauntings, believed to be the ghost of old Mr. Tinker, although it is not known if the ghost is actually Silas Tinker or his son. In any event, one of the legends goes something like this. Old Mr. Tinker was driving his mule-drawn buggy across this bridge. In the evening, the mule was spooked by something and threw Mr. Tinker off the buggy. And during the fall, Mr. Tinker lost his leg as it was still attached to the buggy. The mule ran off with the buggy and Mr. Tinker's leg across this bridge and into the darkness. Now the legend states that if you were to camp here under the bridge at night, you will hear the sounds of the ghostly hooves of the spooked mule and the buggy and Mr. Tinker's leg dragging behind them. The other legend again involves Mr. Tinker. It is a fact, actually, that Mr. Tinker lived to be in his mid to late 90s. Mr. Tinker did, in fact, live until a late age, dying at around his mid to late 90s. Some say that Mr. Tinker became a little senile as he grew older and wound up living inside the foundry. Some believe that he used the wealth that he accumulated over the years and hoarded gold in various parts of the hollow. His ghost is said to wander this hollow and the bottom of the creek, and he's quite moody. But they say if you catch him in a good mood on a good night, and if he likes you, his eyes will glow green, and he may even tell you the location of one of the spots where his gold is buried.
If I see those eyes in the dark, I'm walking the other way. But sometimes it's just not so easy to walk away from the things that haunt you the most.
Stephanie Lane makes the connection between the legendary hauntings at Ashtabula Township's Chestnut Grove Cemetery and the legendary bridge train disaster when Unexplained Ashtabula continues.
You're watching ACN, sponsored in part by the Ashtabula County Metro Parks, where the possibilities are endless.
Songbirds we enjoy each summer, winter in the rainforests. Right now, many are losing their homes. The Arbor Day Foundation's Rainforest Rescue is making a difference. Go to arborday.org, see how to support rainforest rescue, and find out which trees to plant where you live, so our songbirds have a home in the summer and the winter too. Go to arborday.org now.
Imagine a lifetime of discovery that begins in your own backyard. At Kent State University's regional campuses, you'll discover the education and training you need to develop the skills and confidence to succeed. Imagine higher education in your own community to help you reach for a higher standard of success. Kent State University. Call or visit us on the web.
Ashtabula County. What a wonderful place to live. This message was brought to you by Orwell Cable TV.
Welcome back. Imagine December 29th, 1876. It was a cold night, and 159 passengers and crew were rolling into Ashtabula on the Pacific Express train. The temperatures were frigid, and the visibility was zero.
That night, more than 90 people lost their lives, nearly half of them never identified, as a bridge the train was crossing collapsed, plunging its cars 100 feet to the freezing river below. Within moments, the entire wreck of wooden rail cars was engulfed in a colossal inferno, fueled by the pot-bellied stoves used to heat them. The disaster haunted survivors, bystanders, and those deemed responsible for this terrible accident. And the guilt felt by some was enough to tragically end their own lives. As Stephanie shows us, many believe the Ashtabula tragedy haunts the spirits of those touched by this incident to this very day.
I'm standing in front of the elaborate tomb for Charles Collins. Charles Collins was involved in the design and building of the Ashtabula Railroad Bridge. the railroad bridge that was the site of one of railroad's worst disasters. Charles Collins had repeatedly contested the design of the bridge, believing that it was faulty, but due to pressure, conceded and plans went forward with the building of the bridge. Himself and Amasa Stone were the primary architects for the bridge. A few feet away from this crypt is the grave of the unidentified victims of the disaster. Shortly after the grand jury investigation that had commenced after the accident, Charles Collins testified for several days, and after completing the last day of his testimony, walked home, went up to his room, and presumably shot himself in the head. Some say that his spirit still haunts Chestnut Grove Cemetery. He is said to wander the area where the mass grave of the unidentified victims are buried. And he is also said to still be grieving and still feels the guilt and is said to say, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." A few years ago, we had come out to Chestnut Grove Cemetery to take photographs of both the mass grave and Charles Collins' tomb. Amazingly, when we got the pictures back of both monuments, the images appeared burned. And as you can see from the light behind me, it still has this dark coloring to it, much like the photographs that were taken. Others who have visited this cemetery and have taken pictures have also claimed to see ghostly images in the photographs after their visit. A few feet from the tomb of Charles Collins is the monument to the remains of over 19 unidentified victims of the disaster. The disaster had impacted the Ashtabula community even 20 years after the fact, that school children took donations to help fund a memorial of such size to respect the remains of the dead that they could not save. Persons believed to be buried here include Philip Bliss and his wife. Philip Bliss was a well-known composer, most of which were Christian hymns. Some believe that the spirits of the unidentified victims still wander the cemetery at night, along with the souls of others who were involved in the construction of the bridge who are also believed to be buried here. Some report seeing the spirits of a father and his son wandering among the tombstones. And others believe that Charles Collins still tries to make amends to the victims for the mistakes that had occurred.
If you'd like to know more about the Chestnut Grove hauntings or other paranormal activity around the state, contact Stephanie Lane's website, deadohio.com. Up next, we're going to Conneaut, where the voices of the past come back to teach us about local history and hauntings.
A walking tour that includes a late-night trip to the local cemetery when Unexplained Ashtabula continues.
Hey, honey.
Hey.
So what'd you do in school today?
Nothing.
What'd you do in school today?
Nothing.
So what'd you do in school today?
We talked about how free trade was impacted by NAFTA and the reason this is affecting business in the U.S.
Oh.
When a kid goes through junior achievement, it shows. See how it feels to make a difference. Get involved.
Wedding.
Video.
Event.
Video.
corporate.
Media magic.
Media magic.
Media magic.
Welcome to the Villa at the Lake in Conneaut, Ohio, an assisted living residence where seniors can enjoy the lifestyle they deserve. Thoughtfully designed to provide its residents the optimum in comfort, security, privacy, and exemplary service, the villa offers both private suite and special care living accommodations. Interested families are encouraged to contact the villa for a tour and informational package. Come home to the Villa at the Lake in Conneaut, Ohio, a fulfilling and enjoyable experience.
No thanks.
Halloween is such a fun time for ghost stories and other legends, but some people say their stories are more fact than fiction.
We found this out for ourselves when we caught up with the Conneaut Library's Voices of the Past historical walking tour of the Center City. Actors in period costume portrayed 19th century residents who guided visitors to historic points of interest, including century homes of prominent citizens of the time. Several local homeowners told tales about their beloved homes, homes they consider haunted to this very day.
Yes, our first suspicious happening is at 337 Main Street, the Smith home. Is Mary home?
Well, Mary's inside, and
Okay.
I can't pretend to be Mary because Mary just comes. I know who I am. Mary just appears when people come and visit, and especially young children. If you'd like to know, this home is rumored to be, well, I suppose it's truthfully to be one of the first 5 homes built in Conneaut. It is called the Hiram Lake Home. It was built in 1832. We moved in 1983, and there have been some things that have happened here. We do have the Underground Railroad. We have front stairs, back stairs, and we have doors that don't go anywhere. They just are doors. They're just closed. The first thing I knew about Mary is that I found this Bible in our barn on the 2nd floor, and it belonged to a woman called Mary Sign. Her hair, lock of hair is in here, her paper clippings are in here, there are articles from the paper in here. How I know she exists in my house is that she has covered my children up, tucked them in, closed windows, hid my glasses, and there are rumors to be that people walking by see her walking in the house. She is a phenomenal person, and she only brings good to our home. I believe she died when she was young. I truly adore having her here. This house has got great history in the town of Conneaut. We've had several tours come here to look at our Underground Railroad, and I really appreciate all of you coming by and looking at this home that was built in 1832 and may have more people than Mary in it. And I thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for sharing your story with us. There's your Bible. Just want to show you the Bible. Thank you. Okay, folks, we'll be heading back toward town. Every Saturday night in the late 1880s, it was the habit of many citizens to go to the corner of Main and Harbor Streets and watch the excitement. Mr. Heller, a Frenchman, ran a saloon on the southeast corner, and some record manufacturing employees regularly congregated there. With the arrival of the Nickel Plate Railroad, its laborers also gathered, and because of the rivalry, it wouldn't be long until some railroader would boast. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. Place your bets.
I'll take care of you. I'm going to take care of you. I'll take that right here.
Charlie Merrill and Billy Summers would have
He's saying I'm going to walking down the street trying about business. Hey, no, where's the court? Hey, you can't do this, no.
He put on a little weight while he's been dead. Nothing to see, folks. Let's keep moving.
Hi.
I'm Mrs. Reed, wife of John T. Reed, newspaperman. Would you be so kind to give us an interview, sir?
Yes, I will. Good evening. My wife and I, we moved here 2.5 years ago. And we love this house. It's full of doors, wooden floors, wooden stairs. The first thing that happened to me when we moved in here was that on several occasions the doors would open on their own. As I would be entering into the back door or coming through the parlor, the doors would just open on their own. It happened on several occasions. My sister and I, we would stand in here in the summertime the first year we moved here, and we would be in the house with a pair of shorts on, and we could feel what felt like a dog or a cat walking between our legs, rubbing up against our legs. And we would both look at each other and kind of shudder a little bit. It's kind of strange. This past year, my daughter was laying in her bedroom. It was kind of late at evening, and she kind of let out a little bit of a yell. And my wife and I, we sat up. She came into our room, and she says, "There's a man sitting on the end of my bed." And we said, "Oh, no, honey, you're just dreaming." And she says, "Oh, no, I'm not. He was sitting there. He was talking." I said, "What did he say?" She says, "I had no idea. I couldn't understand what he was saying." And she described him to us in great detail. Well, I kind of wrote it off as just being a dream, and she'd woken up, thought she saw this. Well, several months later, she came calmly into our bedroom, knocked on the door, and she says, "Guess what? He's back." I said, "Who's back?" "That same man. He's sitting on the end of my bed and talking." And sent a little shudder up my spines. On several occasions, I'd be laying in my bed late at night, and you could hear someone walking around. And again, the floors creak a little bit, and the stairs creak, and you know when somebody's walking up and down. I'd get up out of bed and look around, and there'd be no one there. But there'd definitely be someone walking around in this house. This past summer, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law came, and they spent the evening with us. And they always bring a sound machine with them, those little wave-sounding things so they can sleep. They're laying in the bedroom, and they started, there was just a lot of commotion. And my wife and I got up and said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Well, the light we keep shutting off keeps coming back on. You know, usually you hear lights going on, and these ones kept turning on. And it kept going on, you know, and they'd shut it off and turn back on. And the wave machine kept shutting off. And it was really kind of bizarre. But it's been fun. We love living here. We love the house. We don't have any fears of being here, but there's been some strange occurrences and situations that my wife and I just look at each other and shake our heads, go on about our business. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
Okay, now I think it's time to break out the candy corn, throw a bag of popcorn in the microwave, and crawl under a blanket. We'll be back with more of Unexplained Ashtabula when ACN returns.
Good afternoon, this is Lori Joyle with Edward Jones, member of the New York Stock Exchange, bringing you the daily financial market report. The U.S. stocks were little changed today despite encouraging announcements. The Dow Jones was up 12.08 to close at 9,786.61. The S&P 500 index was down 1.17 to close at 1,046.94. The NASDAQ was down 3.87 to close at 1,932.69. And in local stocks, the Norfolk and Southern was up 61 cents to close at 19.98. Kennametal was down 50 cents to close at 36.90. Alltel was down 50 cents to close at 47.18. This is Lori Joyld, Edward Jones, a member of the Security Investor Protection Corporation at 293 Main Street in Conneaut, bringing you this Wall Street to Main Street report.
Songbirds we enjoy each summer, winter in the rainforests. Orioles, terns, tanagers, and countless others fly to our yards each spring. An amazing gift of nature. Right now, many are losing their homes. With the destruction of the rainforests, migrating flocks have been cut in half. The time to act is now. From the cloud forests of El Triunfo to the lush Amazon, the Arbor Day Foundation's Rainforest Rescue is making a difference. You can help protect the rainforests. Go to arborday.org. See how to support Rainforest Rescue and find out which trees to plant where you live, so our songbirds have a home in the summer and the winter too. Over half our planet's rainforests have been destroyed. Go to arborday.org now.
Have you ever walked through a cemetery? Sounds pretty scary, doesn't it? Well, more than 100 people fought their fears and took a walk through the Conneaut City Cemetery.
It was part of the Conneaut Library's Voices and Faces of the Past historical tour, a tour in which actors portraying prominent local citizens literally brought history back from the grave.
Halt! Who goes there?
It is I, Mrs. Julia Riggs, son of John P. Riggs, newspaper man. Now, may we come and pay our respects to the dead?
The last who entered the cemetery never came out alive. But you may enter tonight. But beware, you have been warned.
Have you seen my ball? Have you seen my ball tip?
Must be in charge.
We're looking for Mr. Buck. Is he here?
Yes, of course he is. He never goes anywhere without me.
I am Dr. Samuel L. Fenton. I was born in Ipswich, England. I immigrated to America when I was about 5 years old with my family. That would have been, let's see, about 1785. We settled in New York State, and I was married at a very early age, I might add, to the former Charlotte Jennings of Norwalk, Connecticut. I was educated in New York and then moved to Erie, Pennsylvania. But you know, Erie never felt much like home to me, and I decided to move a little farther west. I ended up here in Conneaut in 1826.
All aboard!
You hear that whistle? I've heard that whistle every night since October 2nd, 1888. The fateful night that I met my demise. We had pulled into Defiance, Ohio, out west, and the train had stopped, and I let the passengers off, and I was standing by the tracks, and the train suddenly moved. I yelled, "Look out! Look out!" No one heard. They looked for the brakeman, and they found him dazed and confused off the side. All they found were my pieces and parts. So what they did is, they took my mutilated body and put it on the train and carried it back to Conneaut, where I now rest. I now no longer rest in peace, but I rest in pieces.
We moved here to Conneaut in 1897, and I've sailed out of this port ever since. In 1905, I was given command of the Marquette No. 2, fresh off the assembly line in Cleveland, where she was built. On December 9th, 1907, we set out from Conneaut at 10:30 in the morning with a load of 36 cars bound for Port Stanley, Ontario. as we set out, a terrible storm approached. Well, we were tossed and turned. We couldn't make port in Port Stanley. So we turned around and tried to make it back to Conneaut. We couldn't make port in Conneaut either. So we headed back to Port Stanley again. Tried to make it into Port Stanley, but we never arrived. So what we have is one of the great mysteries of the Great Lakes. What happened to the Marquette and Bessemer No. 2. All I can tell you is that all 32 of our crew were lost. 9 were found frozen to death in a lifeboat. I myself was washed up on Long Point, October 1910. The only way they could identify me was by the Masonic tattoo on my right arm.
Could you tell us about the Battle of the Wilderness in Spotsylvania?
No. I don't like to think about it. It scares me, the nightmare. Living it over and over the bloody day. But if I tell you, good Americans, maybe, just maybe I can rest in peace. It was the morning of May 12th, 1864. The silence. The silence was eerie. But then out of nowhere, somebody yelled, "Charged!" And we did. The musketry was so heavy it cut down trees. Our faces were blackened from the gunpowder. But if you didn't fall at the first battle, the first charge, it was hand to hand. The gun butts smashing skulls and teeth. The bayonet carving and slashing. And cutting wounds right open. Cutting out eyes. The nightmare lasted 20 hours. But then, at 3 in the morning, silence. And the Confederates backed off. All you could hear was the moaning and groaning of the injured. Oh, help me. 7,000 men died in 20 minutes. The last thing I remember was hearing myself scream, "Help! Help!" Our souls are together. We are brothers. We will rest in peace. My body was buried near the battle at Burial Ground Wilderness. But this here memorial is very nice.
It is but a small token of our respect for you and all soldiers that have lost their lives in battle. We salute you. May you rest in peace.
God bless America.
Thank you.
Have you ever looked up in the sky at night and seen something that's beyond explanation?
We'll meet a lady from Ashtabula Township who says she's not only seen UFOs, she's got them on tape. That's next on Unexplained Ashtabula.
You're watching ACN, sponsored in part by the Ashtabula County Metro Parks, where the possibilities are endless.
Imagine a lifetime of discovery that begins in your own backyard. At Kent State University's regional campuses, you'll discover the education and training you need to develop the skills and confidence to succeed. Imagine higher education in your own community to help you reach for a higher standard of success. Kent State University. Call or visit us on the web.
Don't be another statistic.
Wedding.
Video.
Event.
Video.
Corporate.
Video.
Media magic. Media magic. Media magic.
We're back now in the haunted forest, where bizarre and eventful things are happening all around me.
Out with me and my friends?
No, thank you. We're going to leave you right here in the forest. Oh, but this is nothing, even, compared to the supernatural sightings of a very watchful woman in Ashtabula Township. As ACN's Mark Lowry reports, she's been tracking UFOs since she was a child, and her family and friends have seen them too.
No such thing as UFOs? Don't tell Mary Standy that. Since she was a child, she's been seeing strange, unexplainable things in the sky above Ashtabula.
I was 5 when I seen what I thought was a plane but wasn't, and then 7 when I seen something else. But the most impressionable one was when I was 9. It was a big Ferris wheel. It scared me because it was so big and it was so close.
What did you think you were seeing?
I don't know, a Ferris wheel. That's what it looked like to me. It was a Ferris wheel.
What did,
tilted on its side.
Fast forward to the year 2000. Mary says she was videotaping the moon and the stars when she started seeing other things.
One thing's for sure, Mary saw something. She has the videotape to prove it. But were they UFOs, planes, meteorites, or perhaps something more ominous?
Well, as I was filming it, I seen something go by. And then I see something else go by. And then on the film, you can tell where I'm adjusting it, getting closer and looking around for other stuff. And then you can see this one that you can see where it's blinking. And you can, on the side of the moon, and where it's rotating, where you can see the moon is reflecting off of it.
She was so excited about what she saw that she began getting her friends and her family involved.
I think it was winter, and Mary called me up around, and it was in the evening, and she said, Julie, get up here quick, there's a UFO across the street. And I've always told Mary I wanted to see a UFO before I die. So I said, okay, I'll go up there. I was thinking, nah, there's probably nothing there, who knows. So I get over here, and we stand out there in that little porch, and there's this bright light across the street over the trees, maybe underneath the power lines, and I'm thinking it's planet Venus. And I'm going, yeah, it's the planet Venus. And Mary goes, no, it's a UFO. So she puts the camera on it, and then we're watching through that little viewfinder, and we see these little spiral lines in it, and it's big, and then something came out of it.
Like a drop.
And it was shiny, and it came out and went down, and you could tell it wasn't the planet Venus, and it was something.
Mary also began documenting each sighting, and she says she knows just when to grab the video camera.
It was 4 o'clock in the morning when I woke up. It was the pressure, and I knew what it rained when I felt the pressure, what it was, so I knew what was going on. So I got up out of bed, and I got the camcorder, and I went to the bathroom window, and I opened it, and I looked, and I seen this at 4:02 a.m. on 5/20/2001.
What did you see?
I seen what I showed you that looked like a moon, but it's not the moon, because this was right next to where the sun was coming. You know, where the sun comes up, it's on the same side.
Her sightings, not to mention her video, have gained local and regional attention. The Star Beacon has done several stories on her, and even the Cleveland stations have taken notice. So what does all of this mean?
Love all people. Understand. That's why I say, when I see people, I don't see color. I see people like me. That's all. It's people like me who wants to know the truth, who wants to understand, and who wants the knowledge. That's all.
Mark Lowry, reporting for ACN.
Now, a neighbor of Mary's who declined to be interviewed on camera told us that during some of Mary's reported UFO events, she herself was awakened during her sleep. She said her house would shake. She'd go outside and find a giant orb in the sky over her home. She said also during this time, her dog would become agitated right before the events occurred.
There's a place in Unionville where unusual events occur, on stage and off. We'll take you to Murder Mystery Night at the Old Tavern when Unexplained Ashtabula comes back.
Songbirds we enjoy each summer, winter in the rainforests. Right now, many are losing their homes. The Arbor Day Foundation's Rainforest Rescue is making a difference. Go to arborday.org. See how to support rainforest rescue and find out which trees to plant where you live, so our songbirds have a home in the summer and the winter too. Go to arborday.org now.
Welcome to the Villa at the Lake in Conneaut, Ohio, an assisted living residence where seniors can enjoy the lifestyle they deserve. Thoughtfully designed to provide its residents the optimum in comfort, security, privacy, and exemplary service, the villa offers both private suite and special care living accommodations. Interested families are encouraged to contact the villa for a tour and informational package. Come home to the Villa at the Lake in Conneaut, Ohio, a fulfilling and enjoyable experience.
Ashtabula County. What a wonderful place to live. This message was brought to you by Orwell Cable TV.
Halloween is a time when thoughts of murder and mystery often combine with the supernatural.
This is definitely the case in Unionville, where the landmark Old Tavern hosts its Edgar Allan Poe murder mystery dinner theater. Dinner patrons are treated to a 4-star meal served by a troupe of talented actors engaged in a fun whodunit drama. But before the hungry guests are allowed to taste their culinary treats, they first must take a tour of the Grand Mansion, which holds secrets of its own.
Welcome to the Old Tavern. We're going to start our tours in just a moment here.
Oh, Mr. Harper, good day.
Good day, Mrs. Poe. Is all well?
Yes, we are beginning our tour here. Now, you've been here for quite a while. What can you tell us about this room?
Yes, indeed. I've been with the Harmons for 5 years now, 3 of which I've served as head butler. Mr. Harmon offered me the position after the sad and untimely demise of my former employer, Mr. Viner, whose daughter is none other than Mrs. Harmon. It is thanks to her that I was offered my current position. Certain higher members of the household staff felt I was not suited to the task. Now to the room. It was, as Mrs. Poe said, used as sleeping quarters. Now it is used for formal dining and sometimes for gaming. Mrs. Harmon was a great lover of games, although I no longer have the time to play, as I did when I worked for her father. But I digress. For preparations must be made, and you should all be about your tour. If you would be so kind as to inform the other servants that their help will be needed in serving tonight's dinner.
Oh, certainly, Drake. All right. Oh, I want to point everyone out to this room down here. There's been many, many things that have happened in this room, and lots of things that people have felt. So if anybody is sensitive to ghosts, you might feel free to open your minds up now and see if you can feel anything. You look a little apprehensive there. Interesting coincidence. The bridal suite is the most haunted room, gentlemen. All right, please follow me up the stairs. We didn't mean to intrude. I didn't think anyone would be be up here, what with the preparations for dinner and the short staff tonight.
No, I'm never going anywhere near that kitchen ever again. Not so long as that latch is still in there.
Oh, I'm certain he didn't mean anything by he simply didn't know that you and Arvo were together.
Well, if it wasn't for Mr. Harmon, my virtue would most certainly have been in peril.
Oh, well, that's all in the past now. But you do have a lovely room. How long have you been here?
Oh, it's been a bit over a year now, ever since the tragedy that took my father and mother from me. See, thankfully, Mr. Harmon took in a penniless orphan such as myself. He is such a good man. And here is where I met Arvo, and I know that he will provide very well for me and our future family. Ever since he set his cap for me, my heart has been aflutter. And he is the only one who agrees with me that my mother could never have done such a horrible thing. She just wasn't capable of it. And he's agreed to stand by my side and help prove her innocence.
Violet, we really need to move on. Dinner will soon be ready, and we need to continue the tour. But you will be joining us later in the ballroom, won't you?
Oh, certainly. Mr. Harmon has asked that all of us help serve our guests tonight.
Oh, wondrous. All right, we're going to head back down the stairs. All right, now we're actually going to be descending down this very narrow staircase. Now, the interesting thing about this staircase is that it was actually a hidden staircase. There was a secret wall at the very bottom and actually across here, used for smuggling all sorts of things and people. And this little room over here is sometimes where the smuggled people would stay. So, not quite certain when they tore the wall down, but it would definitely have been wonderful if they could have left it. But we're going to go down these stairs again, very steep. Watch your step, grab onto the hand railings, and watch your head. All right, yeah, try to stay clustered up here. I want to point out this tunnel here. Through this door is a tunnel that leads to some of the catacombs underneath the tavern. Now, unfortunately, a lot of these catacombs have collapsed, but there is one that actually goes underneath the street to the graveyard.
That's the one Cole and Whitman used.
Life around here is just fine when they leave me alone. Pretty much keep to myself. I've seen some strange things. They don't have an awful lot of explanations for them, though. People disappearing. A few people dying in strange ways. They always done something to deserve it. You never know when that devil gonna jump up and take his due.
There he is. We thought we lost you. Perhaps maybe the ghosts had gotten you. This is the Coach House Pub. Now, this actually was where the stagecoaches would pull up to drop the guests off who wanted to eat at the tavern. This window area right here was actually the doorway that the coach would pull right up. That back end would also be open so they could pull right through. However, the well went bad a few years ago and thus converted into the pub. Well, this is Arvo Shandy, our coachman and resident bar prop.
Well, you can't have the old girl falling over now, can we? Not to worry. As long as I'm here, I'll hold her up.
Arvo, could you please do me a favor and tell these good people a little more about the room? I really need to get back upstairs and tend to our other guests.
Of course, you go on, do what you must. I'll take good care of these here folks.
Thank you, Arvo.
Oh, and if you see that stuffed shirt of a butler, tell him I'll be up just as soon as I finish with my cheese.
All right.
By the way, have you met Violet? Oh. You've not met Violet. Violet's my gal, by the way. She cleans up around here for the Harmons. She's a nice gal. I just wish my pa could have been around to meet her. But there I am, rambling on again. I'm sure y'all like to get back upstairs. Dinner's soon ready.
Oh, Eddie, your stories are wonderful. I'm certain everyone here will love them.
I'm certain my publisher, Rufus Griswold, would not agree with your romance.
Now, Edgar, let us be the judge of that.
I, for one, would love to hear one of your poems. How about you, ladies and gentlemen? Would you like to hear one of his poems?
Ah, distinctly I remember. It was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished tomorrow. Vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow. Sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore.
Now, we're not going to tell you who done it. You're going to have to stop by the restaurant and find out for yourself. The Old Tavern of Unionville will be hosting other murder mystery dinners in the months ahead.
We'll pay a visit to a haunted house on Geneva-on-the-Lake, where the owners say you'll just scream. Next on Unexplained Ashtabula.
Good afternoon, this is Lori Doyle with Edward Jones, member of the New York Stock Exchange, bringing you the daily financial market report. The U.S. stocks were little changed today, despite encouraging announcements. The Dow Jones was up 12.08 to close at 9,786.61. The S&P 500 index was down 1.17 to close at 1,046.94. The NASDAQ was down 3.87 to close at 1,932.69. And in local stocks, the Norfolk and Southern was up 61 cents to close at 19.98. Kennametal was down 50 cents to close at 36.90. Alltel was down 50 cents to close at 47.18. This is Lori Doyle with Edward Jones, a member of the Security Investor Protection Corporation at 293 Main Street in Conneaut, bringing you this Wall Street to Main Street report.
Hey, honey. Hey. So what'd you do in school today?
Nothing.
What'd you do in school today?
Nothing.
So what'd you do in school today?
We talked about how free trade was impacted by NAFTA and the reason this is affecting business in the U.S.
Oh.
When a kid goes through junior achievement, it shows. See how it feels to make a difference. Get involved.
Wedding.
Video.
Events.
Video.
Corporate.
Video.
Media magic. Media magic. Media magic.
And which are you? Do you get a little jumpy when you think of ghosts and spirits at Halloween time?
Well, some folks find the best way to conquer their fears is by meeting them head on at fun and scary events, such as the Haunted Forest here at Manners Tree Farm. But some prefer to take their curiosity indoors. Let's catch up with Count Dracula for a creepy tour of a haunted house on Geneva-on-the-Lake that will make you just scream.
Step through these doors, surrender your soul. To drive you mad is my only goal. Tortured minds and blood-filled dreams. You try to run, but it's just a scream!
Welcome to Just Scream, haunted house at Geneva-on-the-Lake. Come one, come all. If you don't think you'll scream, think again.
What do you think you're doing?
Be there. Be scared if you have the guts.
Give me a break! Never mind! I'm gonna get you! Come here! A sentence you to death by execution. And you're next! Give me your heads. I will take them.
Okay, you can come out from underneath the blankets now. Just Scream Haunted House will be open Halloween night for some last-minute head shopping fun. Unexplained Ashtabula returns right after this.
You're watching ACN, sponsored in part by the Ashtabula County Metro Parks, where the possibilities are endless.
Imagine a lifetime of discovery that begins in your own backyard. At Kent State University's regional campuses, you'll discover the education and training you need to develop the skills and confidence to succeed. Imagine higher education in your own community to help you reach for a higher standard of success. Kent State University. Call or visit us on the web.
Don't be another statistic.
Ashtabula County. What a wonderful place to live. This message was brought to you by Orwell Cable TV.
We hope you've enjoyed ACN's special Unexplained Ashtabula. On behalf of the entire Ashtabula County Newsnet team, I'm Eleanor Hayes. Thank you for watching. Have a great and safe Halloween.